The NFL draft begins on April 23rd, just over a month to go, and the Houston Texans are making quiet moves that could reveal exactly where they're going to invest on day 3 of the draft. A 21-year-old safety from the University of South Carolina received an official 30-day visit from the Texans. General manager Nick Caserio, one of the league's most important executives, traveled personally to Columbia, South Carolina, to watch him train, and the two had already had a conversation at the Combine that the player himself described as very good. This isn't protocol, this is real interest, and today we're going to connect all the dots. Let's get to the facts. According to Tony Pauline of Essentially Sports, the Houston Texans are among the teams that have scheduled an official 30-day visit with defensive back Jahlon Kilgore from the University of South Carolina. Kilgore has also received visits from the Philadelphia Eagles, Carolina Panthers, Indianapolis Colts, Seattle Seahawks, Cincinnati Bengals, Minnesota Vikings, New York Jets, and Miami Dolphins. In other words, this player is on the radar of half the league. But what sets the Texans' interest apart from the other teams is what Nick Caserio did next. The general manager personally traveled to South Carolina's Pro Day, something that draws far more attention than a standard scouting visit. When I saw that Nick Caserio personally went to Columbia to watch Kilgore train, my reaction was immediate. This isn't protocol. General managers don't travel to mid-draft pro days out of obligation. They go when they have a genuine interest, when they want to look the player in the eye, when they want a conversation that goes beyond what any scout report can capture. And adding to that the fact that they had already met at the Combine, and Kilgore described it as a good conversation. The pieces are connecting in a very interesting way. Let's talk about who Jahlon Kilgore is. Safety, 21 years old, University of South Carolina. Considered one of the top 10 safety prospects in the entire 2026 draft class. He's projected to be a mid-draft pick, 3rd, 4th, or 5th day. And the Texans have 3 picks between the 4th and 5th rounds on the 3rd day of this draft. 3 picks, exactly where Kilgore should be selected. Kilgore isn't the only prospect the Texans have been closely evaluating in recent weeks. Houston also held official visits with offensive tackle Caden Proctor from Alabama and running back Adam Randall from Clemson. But this time, with Kilgore, it's the defensive side that's in focus. And Caserio's personal presence raises the level of interest in a way that can't be ignored. If you follow the Houston Texans, subscribe and like to receive daily updates. Now let's analyze why Kilgore makes sense for the Houston Texans, because the compatibility here is real. The Texans just invested heavily in the safety position with the signing of Reed Blankenship for 3 years and $24 million. Blankenship will be an immediate starter alongside Kalen Bullock. That's settled. But what Houston lacks is depth and youth behind those 2 starters. If Blankenship or Bullock get injured, who steps in? That's exactly the gap a player like Kilgore would fill. And there's more. In last year's draft, the Texans selected Jalen Smith and Jalen Reed on the 2nd and 3rd days. 2 safeties investing in youth at the position. DeMeco Ryans' philosophy is clear: build a deep, talented, and young secondary defense. Kilgore would be another piece in that puzzle. And the fact that Caserio went personally, not a scout, not an assistant, but the general manager, speaks volumes about the seriousness of this interest. Clear pros. Kilgore joins an elite secondary defense and learns alongside Blankenship, Bullock, Peter, Stingley, and Lassiter. There's hardly a better environment for a young safety to develop in the NFL. And on day 3 of the draft, if he falls in the 4th or 5th round, the cost is minimal compared to the potential odds, the natural risk of any mid-draft prospect. Kilgore still needs to prove he can transition from college football to the professional level. The safety position in the NFL demands game reading, communication, and consistency that not every prospect brings from college. But in a defense like the Texans, with so many veterans around, the development environment is the best possible. If the Texans draft Kilgore in April, the immediate impact will be profound. He won't start as a starter. He doesn't need to. He'll learn. He'll watch Blankenship communicate. He'll practice alongside Bullock in the Pro Bowl. And in a year or 2, he may be ready to take on a much bigger role. That's the roster-building philosophy that Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans are executing in Houston. It's not just about 2026, it's about building a team that competes for the Super Bowl for multiple consecutive years. And that requires finding gems in the middle of the draft, players that other teams underestimate but who fit perfectly into the system. Jahlon Kilgore, safety, South Carolina, 21 years old, and Nick Caserio personally traveled to see him train less than a month before the draft. The dots are connected, the interest is real, And if everything comes to fruition on the night of April 23rd, you'll remember this video. The question remains, do you think the Texans should use one of their 3-day 3 picks on Kilgore? Does it make sense to invest in another young safety even with Blankenship and Bullock already starters? Leave your comments below. I want to know what Texans Nation thinks. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, because the draft is coming and we're going to cover every pick, every surprise, and every player who could arrive in Houston in April. Bull up. The future of this defense is being built now, and we're here for every detail.